Hi, everyone. Welcome to our event on Lebanon's Forgotten Crises. It's part of the Into Focus campaign. We have around 250 people joining online, so it's being streamed as we speak, and it's being recorded. In case there are any electricity cuts, I want to ask everyone who's joining online to just bear with us because it's going to take a few minutes to reconnect. So allow me to introduce Mr. Imran Riza, who is the Deputy Special Coordinator for Lebanon. He's also the Resident Coordinator and Humanitarian Coordinator. He'll be giving the keynote speech. As part of our panel, we also have Dr. Josephine Zgheb, who's part of the Kfar Debian Municipal Council, Dr. Inaya Zadine, who's a member of the Lebanese Parliament, and Ms. Wafa Saab, who's a board member and vice chair of Kuluna Irada. And of course, our moderator from Berghof, Mr. Christian Gulish, who's the head of the MENA unit. I'd like to also introduce my colleague, Feras Kheirallah, who's the representative of the Beirut office here in Lebanon, and he'll be giving the opening remarks.
Thank you very much. So I have been practicing this the whole day with Maria. Your Excellency, Deputy UN Special Coordinator, Mr. Imran Riza, esteemed guests and panelists, thank you for joining us today to shed light on the current, often forgotten crises that Lebanon is going through. Established in 1971, the Berghof Foundation is a non-profit organization based in Germany that works to promote peace, conflict transformation, and dialogue in various regions of the world. Our mission is to support individuals in organizing and organizations and societies in developing peaceful and inclusive ways of dealing with conflicts. We work with various stakeholders, including governments, civil society organizations, and individuals to promote dialogue and understanding as a means of resolving conflicts. Another key area of the Berghof Foundation's work is supporting the development of inclusive societies. We promote the participation of marginalized groups in decision-making processes, lobby for social justice, and support efforts to address the root causes of conflicts. In Lebanon, we recognize the need to support and engage. Our office in Beirut started in 2015 because dialogue is essential. But why in Lebanon? One of the most significant examples of the importance of dialogue in Lebanon is the Taif Agreement, which was signed in 1989 to end the country's civil war. Dialogue plays a role in promoting social cohesion and understanding between different communities in Lebanon. The country's religious and sectarian diversity can sometimes lead to misunderstandings and conflicts, but dialogue can help bridge the gap and promote mutual respect and acceptance. Dialogue can promote transparency, accountability, and good governance. By engaging in dialogue, citizens can hold their leaders accountable and promote more participatory and inclusive decision-making processes. Can we imagine a world without conflicts? Can we imagine conflicts without dialogues? In the absence of dialogue, conflicts and tensions can escalate and lead to violence, instability, and even war. When different stakeholders refuse to engage in dialogue, they may resort to one-sided actions of force to achieve their goals, leading to a breakdown of trust and further polarization. Without dialogue, there's a risk of neglecting the underlying causes of conflicts and focusing only on the symptoms. The alternative to dialogue is a path of confrontation, polarization, and escalation of conflicts. Therefore, it is essential to promote dialogue as means of conflict resolution and social cohesion. Esteemed guests, dialogue can help us restore our humanity and bring it back into focus. Restoring humanity is a crucial task in today's work and world, marked by conflicts, crises, and inequality. One of the first steps towards restoring humanity is to address the structural causes of inequality and discrimination. This includes challenging systems and structures that generate discrimination and marginalization based on factors such as race, gender, ethnicity, religion, or socioeconomic status. Dialogue is key to bring humanity into focus. Ladies and gentlemen, the first article of the German Basic Law reads in the standard translation, human dignity shall be inviolable. The translation is elegant, but inaccurate. The original reads, Die Würde des Menschen ist unantastbar. Literally, the dignity of the human being is untouchable. In the Basic Law, dignity is the one and only absolute value. Untouchable is used only in connection with dignity. In terms of conflicts, dignity always prevails. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Feras. I'd like to invite Mr. Imran to give the keynote speech.
Good afternoon. Very happy to be with you here today without a keynote speech. No, I just wanted to say a few things right now, and not in a very formal way, because I think dialogue, very importantly, is about also very much the informal, the direct in terms of this. And at this time in Lebanon, you have on the one hand a sense of forgotten crises, what's happened in the last 3-4 years, and the focus on that. There is another crisis that is now again coming back into the fore in different ways, which is, of course, the crisis of Syria and Syrians. And we've seen what is happening within Lebanon about it, and we've been seeing what's happening regionally about it. And here I'll come back again to dialogue as it relates to those. And then you have the overall situation right now, and what Feras was also talking about before, the actual dialogue that has to deal with root causes. How do you get to a situation where you can't manage conflicts in particular ways, where you can't manage certain types of displacements or in certain ways? And I think part of that is going back to some of the root causes, and we keep coming back to that. So I think I'm not going to say very much at all here, because as the description of today's event talks about, it's about Lebanese voices also very much talking about how to manage this, how to go ahead. But it's a series of different dialogues that are happening. I think crucially from a perspective of, and you have the role of the state, political movements, and the international community. Take one example right now, the issue of Syrians. And you have voices coming from all of those actors, and actually not very conciliatory voices, I don't think, not very constructive paths forward that are coming from that, but those are exactly what need to be done. And they need to be done in a way where you're defining what the objectives are, because sometimes the dialogue has to know what the objective of that particular dialogue is. So when we come to this overall situation, I think that we're facing right now, and I'm talking about it because I'm seized with it right now. This is what I'm trying to deal with day in, day out, and talk to a lot of people about. One is about managing it, right? About managing it. And so, for example, that is something where you have to start a particular type of dialogue between the key actors that are concerned. And that is something that has been very much in the media for the last few days, about how certain things that have not been very transparent need to become more transparent and on the table in terms of managing what is a crisis that affects a lot of people, those that are primarily affected by it, but also those that are carrying the burden for it. So I would say that's sort of the dialogue about managing particular things. Then there's the dialogue about solving, trying to move beyond that. And that is, I think, what we're seeing a bit of on a regional basis right now. And that all of these actors play into very much, but from very different perspectives. And that comes back, I think, very much to what you were saying before. But I think none of it really moves us ahead, because the most difficult part of the dialogues is actually dealing with root causes. And that's the one that, with all the balancing of a humanitarian crisis what the political aspects of it are, how to move away from the humanitarian back into the development, and how we all use our own mandates and our own perspectives in this, we don't have the time, and we don't step back, and we don't have the right sort of dialogue, which is what I think Berghof Foundation and others try to do, is push for that space and try to move to some of that deeper sort of dialogue that needs to happen if you're actually going to move to more sustainable situations out of that. I'll stop there. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Imran. So now I'm going to be handing over to my colleague Christian, so he can officially start the panel discussion.
Okay, thank you, Maria. I'm not sure if the audience can hear me also online. I hope it should work. First of all, let me express my gratitude to all of you joining here, to the speakers, obviously, providing us with certainly valuable input. Also with the audience joining us online. I will say a few more words about the agenda itself, but also I wanted to express my gratitude and also being honored to be part of such an esteemed panel. And I'm very interested, I'm sure not only me, to hear about your perspectives on the current state of the crisis and Lebanon's affairs. I wanted to say also a bit more quickly about why we're here today and putting it a bit into perspective in regards to the campaign. Fortunately, speakers have already provided me with a lot of things to take up on, so I don't have to say much more to that. The idea of the Into Focus campaign is much based around putting countries that are not so much on the attention span of people, especially outside of Lebanon, back into the focus of people around the globe, and especially in Europe and in Germany. And as part of this campaign, a lot of German civil society organizations have come together to join efforts and concentrate on 3 countries. That is next to Bangladesh, South Sudan, also Lebanon, which is why we're here today to discuss the crisis of this country that is currently happening. And while a lot of the actors, while a lot of the actors and civil society organizations also participating in this campaign, I'm merely focusing on the humanitarian crisis and on the humanitarian needs. It is also the idea of Berghof to dive more into the structural causes of this crisis, into the root issues that are pertaining the crisis, that are influencing what is currently going on. And so this is why we also want to dive deeper today and not only scratch the surface. At the same time, we're also trying an experiment. While of course everyone here in the audience being present has a lot of expertise on Lebanon, living here, working here. And at the same time, we have our online audience more interested in Lebanon, but mainly perhaps not as much into the country's current affairs. So that's why it's going to be a bit of a stretch, but I hope we can manage that as well into that. And so with that being said, let's move into the discussion. So we will start off with our panelists providing us a bit of their perspective in different categories. Then after a couple of questions and a level of discussion, we will move also to questions from the audience. So here, either here amongst you, you have the chance to ask a couple of questions, and we will also give the questions to the online audience and see whether receive some input from their side, which might be interesting for us to follow up on and such. And with that being said, I think we will have a very full hour that's ahead of us. And so very much looking forward to the input. Thank you. Let me start with the first question to all of you, but I want to start with you, Dr. Inaya, if that is okay. And it would be grateful if you can tell us a bit more about how you would describe the situation in Lebanon from your perspective.
Well, thank you very much. I would have preferred to be informal and to be sitting around a round table rather than in front of you like this. Of course, we are witnessing for the last 3-4 years a very severe and dangerous crisis. Every aspect of our life has been hit. This crisis that was economically classified by the World Bank as being the worst since the 19th century has caused a lot, has uncovered all the weaknesses in our system. It has uncovered the gaps, deepened the inequalities and the discrepancies. We are suffering now from multilateral poverty. More than 70% of the Lebanese people suffer from food insecurity. But I think the most dangerous repercussions and implications of all the, for now, for the near future and for the long term, is the effect of the impact of this crisis on health and education. We are already witnessing cases of malnutrition, undernutrition in our kids. We are having a bigger gap of inequality between students, especially between the public and the private sector. We have now like 15% of our youth dropping out from all the educational system, and this has implication on our human capital and the human potential of the country, with, of course, worsening of the standard of the education, which was a legacy and an asset of the Lebanese for so many decades, and it was a great something that we capitalized on economically and socially. Also, we are suffering. Now, I'm as a doctor, I'm describing the symptoms of the problem. We are suffering from a high rate of inflation, maybe between 300, 400%. And our Lebanese currency has lost maybe 98% of its value. We have deposit problems in the banks. We have banking sector problems. And we have a big crisis of trust between the citizen and the state and all the institutions. And unfortunately, we have, on top of all of this, the crisis in Syria also has shed its burden also on us, with maybe like half our population size, the Syrian refugee. And it's alarming what you were mentioning now about the way it's being dealt with. Of course, this crisis has to be dealt with not in a racist way, not instigating instincts, because this is not the right way to deal with it. We have an issue of lack of governance in every system you can talk about. We have fragmentation horizontally, vertically, and we have a lack of systems. And on top of this also, I know that my colleagues maybe want to mention it. We have an issue of how to protect our country, because a lot of people will talk about the arms, but myself, I see that the arms is for so many years. Now, it was not the problem in the beginning. It was a result of a part of Lebanon left to its destiny, and people had to defend themselves. So the state did not do its duty. And now I think we have to take the debate to somewhere else, to how to protect Lebanon. This is grosso modo the symptoms of the problems. If you want me to talk about the root causes of the problem, I can do it, but
I think we dive into that a bit later with the current question. Thank you so much, Dr. Naya. Ms. Wafa, the same question goes to you. It would be great to hear a bit more from your point of view. How would you describe what is currently going on?
Well, Dr. Inaya's diagnosis is really very much to spot on. What she has described would entitle Lebanon as a failed state. Unfortunately, it is very different. There are different perspectives on the definition of the failed state, but all the ingredients are in. And unfortunately, the institutions are crumbling. We have vacuum in the presidency. We have a caretaker government that cannot function. We have a parliament that cannot really, what do you call it? Convene. Yes, convene and take the right decisions. So we have a judiciary sector that is also very, very problematic, to say the least.
Yes.
To say the least. And of course, we also have all the institutions, the other governmental institutions that are approaching deadlines. And for example, the municipalities, now we have the postponement of the municipal elections. We have the stalemate that is going to happen out of all that, because as you know, the Muhafiz cannot take the role of the Mukhtar and the municipality. So I'm going probably into nitty-gritty things, but as Christian has asked us to describe a bit more the situation. Of course, we have mentioned the education sector, the lamentable medical situation. Of course, the social safety net that is not even available. The social security is not even accessible to anyone. Medication and everything. I think you're better equipped to speak about this. So we also have the social issues that we are facing. It is everywhere a collapsing state, unfortunately. But now we're just prescribing. We're not just saying, we're not about to say that, well, in a way we are responsible because we have gone and back to the same players, almost. So
thank you. Yes, we will go a bit more deeper into that, but that's already very good insight about your perspectives on the things. And of course, Dr. Josephine, I would also like to hear your view and your take on what is currently going on.
First of all, thank you for this event. And we are helpful as Lebanese that the international community are hearing us. So, because our leaders are, how we say it, yes, after 40 years, the same player. That's why we have a forgotten crisis right now. Yes, as the lady said, the country is shut down. Our institutional are closed, the public one. The municipalities are not functional. Everything is not functional. We just have the army, the Lebanese army till now, but we don't know when they will stop. So we have a security issue. People are afraid to lose this security. Till now, yes, we are driving, we are coming by car. It's a little bit safe, but it's not. It's not. People are afraid to lose this country. And if we lose the Lebanese army, we will lose our country. As the lady said, we have a big problem on to implement the constitutional law. We have it on the book, but we are not using since years, not just right now. And from 2018, the civil society tried to say and to tell people that we have a big problem and we have an issue on the economical. No one listened to us, no one. In 2018, we did a big campaign about that the gas will be 300,000. We put it on a media, but no one listened. To arrive to a revolution in 2019, we didn't have a revolution like this. It was a big crisis starting these days. It's not now. So it's starting since 2019, and we had the big blast in Lebanon. We lost 200 citizens like this, and till now we don't know who did this. So we have a big problem in the judges who don't take any decision without a call from one of the 6 leaders in Lebanon. So we have a big problem on this. I think this is our crisis, but we have a positive hope. We wanted to change our system, and the Lebanese are asking to change this, because till now, after 40 years, and after the Ta'if, we didn't find how we can cooperate together between the 3, the political movement and the international community and the state. So we have a big lag between them.
Thank you so much. That's actually a very good overview of what is currently going on. also might be a very bleak overview and a very descriptive situation going on, where I think everyone in this room also shares the sentiments, how bad the situation currently is. And I hope that also was made apparent to everyone who's joining us perhaps online, who has not come to Lebanon so often or not visited yet. So I thank you very much for that. But now I would like to go a bit deeper into the root causes, but also perhaps already a bit hinting towards what is needed to perhaps tackle these issues and perhaps to overcome some of the structural issues that we are facing. And with that, I would like to give the question again, the first question to Dr. Naya, looking a bit at the current situation, but also the past and the history of the country. Obviously, without pointing fingers and obviously without blaming anyone, but I would like to hear from you what you think is the role of the political parties here in Lebanon when it comes to addressing these different issues and crises.
Of course, we were describing what the problems are, but before going to the role of what the political parties or other players on the have to do, we have to understand why these problems were there. What are the root causes of the problem that led to this collapse, multi-sectoral collapse, and as you said, maybe the failing of the state? If we go historically, and some people would like to go only to the Ta'if or to after the Ta'if or to after the civil war. Myself, if you read the history books, you would go maybe to, maybe from the day this Lebanon took its independence and the state of Lebanon was there. Because if we talk about the political system or the economic system, first the economic system, let's talk about the economy, because now it's the heart of it, it's the heart of the problem. The economic model of Lebanon was built around what we call it, based on renter state economic model based on banking services and the touristic services and tourism. Let me tell you what was the tourism for them. It was hotels and restaurants. Even it was not sustainable. This is a country full of it can be a touristic country from border to border. And it was not taken into consideration. It was not sustainable. The economic model also, as we mentioned, Lebanon is a transit country based on banking services, touristic services, and not any kind of resilience, productive services that can create an economic movement, create jobs. Also the banking sector was in the heart of it. Also the political system that was built around this this was constituting the deep state. We had a minister of finance called George Urim, and he describes the economy of Lebanon as the economy of 100 square kilometers, which is Beirut and some parts of Mount Lebanon, and every other part of Lebanon was excluded. We used to talk about high rates of growth, but never we talked about rates of development, because growth cannot be sustainable unless it trickles down to the whole layers of societies. And so the periphery was left, we had a lot of marginalization in all parts of Lebanon, south, Bekaa, north, everywhere. And this created, I think, a good focus for the civil war. Of course, there was internal and external, but if there was not this inequality and injustice, civil war could not have been there for so many years, with a political system that is confessional, sectarian, and we had this, let me tell you, a deep state was constituted and is still constituted of politicians, economists, businessmen, and banking and religious institutions serving each other and protecting the interests of each other. And unless we go into reforming the political system, getting at least to start as the Taif agreement mentioned, going away from the sectarian system with a new economic model, because before the civil war and after the civil war, we reproduced the same economic model, despite the fact that the role of Lebanon has changed. The whole area, the role of Lebanon has changed. A lot of the countries around us were doing now, or started doing, or serving, or providing the same services that Lebanon was serving. They have now universities, they are multilinguistic. So we should start thinking of a more innovative way of reproducing a new economic model, improving or changing or going away from this sectarian political system and establishing an accountability system within institutions. Let me tell you that this sectarian system has allowed everybody here to draw red lines around corrupt people, because the corrupt people would like and have always described their own narrow interests as if it's the interest of the whole community. So unless we draw this demarcation line between the economy and the political, I don't think we can improve much. And also we have to start thinking about how we run the sectors. Our sectors are very fragmented, not interfacing with each other. For example, I have to talk about health. Health does not exist only in the Ministry of Health. Health exists in the Ministry of Health, and all the sectors where health is determined, the determinants of health. It's in agriculture, it's in power, it's in environment, it's everywhere. So we have to build a sustainable, interconnected, well-governed system. There should be this transformation in managing the sector and in governing the sectors in order to create sustainability and resilience. If you want, I can go more, but I don't want to take all the time.
Thank you. I think we have also some follow-up questions that will go a bit more into the specifics, but I think you gave us a very, very good overview of how the certain issues and the root causes are also interconnected. And I can sense also from the other panelists that there's also quite a large consensus amongst them. So, but nevertheless, I would be interested to hear also from Ms. Wafa, looking a bit more into the recent history, at the recent events that unfolded. So looking at the 2019 protest movements, looking at the latest parliamentary elections, what do you think is the role of the emerging political parties and the emerging movements in addressing these crises and perhaps overcoming them?
Yeah, what distinguishes this movement basically is its shying away from confessionalism. The coalitions that were built were not really built on confessional ground. They were built on common values and concepts that they would like to see executed in the country. I do agree with Dr. Ainaya that our root causes are basically in confessionalism. Unfortunately, our constitution allows for that because it has many gray areas that were not defined even after that, that were even probably more confused after the Taif agreement, which we would like to adopt. At least let us start by applying the Taif agreement, and many of the problems could be ameliorated. At the same time, I also agree that there was too much focus on the banking sector. But this was a flourishing sector that managed to bring in a lot of resources to Lebanon. Unfortunately, the policy or the politics of our
with high interest rates.
Yes,
nobody wants to invest in economy.
Exactly, and the other sectors were not promoted as they should be. There was too much too much focus on real estate and,
Yes.
and development. And
Supply driven.
there was exactly supply driven and not demand driven.
Yes.
And this is why we are here now with we came out first in as the food inflation, 350%. We beat Venezuela actually. I think today was the latest. Of course, the inflation rate is in general is about 185%. So this is very dramatic. What we are facing is truly dramatic. Going back to the emerging political parties, you know, we hear a lot of people addressing this issue and saying, well, those are 13 MPs that made it to Parliament, and they cannot agree on anything, and they cannot coalesce. Well, actually, they all came from different backgrounds. What united them was really the Thawra, isn't it? It was the revolution that united them, and the common values. Of course, there were some things. Now we have hope that they will really unite on subjects that are driven on portfolios that the policies that they would like to change, and this is where they will be united. And I'm also hoping that this movement will grow into a bigger opposition, and this is where democracy can really function in a much better way. When there is accountability, there is transparency and good governance, and it gets much better when there are two forces that are almost equal.
We need a new law, electoral law.
Definitely, I cannot agree more.
Yes.
The electoral law is a priority for sure.
Thank you, Mustafa. I think that was a very interesting insight into the emerging political movements. And you mentioned a lot of keywords that are going to be also taken up in the next stage of this discussion, especially when it comes to democratic structures and infrastructures also of the state. And with that, I would like to also ask you, Dr. Josephine, with your experience working more on the local level, with institutions maybe perhaps a bit more designed for a bottom-up approach, and with your experience working in municipal councils, I'll be very interested to hear about your perspective and your ideas, what perhaps municipalities could bring to the picture addressing the crises at the moment.
Actually, thank you for this question, because my colleague talked about our system and about the constitution we have, and you need to be Sunni to be prime minister, you need to be Maronite to be president. But in the municipality law, it's civil law. So no need for this religion things to be on position and to help your citizen. So that's why we think the only positive, and we can see it in Lebanon right now, is the municipalities. They are elected 7 years ago, and till now we don't know if we will have election or not, because they are on the court right now. We are waiting. We need 2 weeks to know if we will postpone the election or not. Even so, all these problems, but the municipality are meeting, and they are trying to have their own decentralization, how we say it, like team or community, this team, without the permission of the Minister of Interior or the Minister of Finance. They are trying to help their citizen if they want to do electricity on the solar system inside the streets. Right now, they need all the permission. So many municipalities till now, they decide to have this committee beside the municipality and to start the decentralization. And I think right now, the crisis bring us to an opportunity to have the decentralization. And they started in many municipalities, and they are trying to help their citizens in many things. The first thing is the education, because the public schools are closed. They closed many times. So we are trying to have our small schools paying by the citizens themselves. So they are trying to have a social accountability altogether, participatory approach between the citizen and the municipality. We are trying to have health service, because as I said before, the public institution in Lebanon, they are not functional. They are opening only 2 days a week and have staff on it. So that's why right now the municipality, beside the state, like the official state, the centralized state, they are trying to have their own governance system, their own. So I think if we want to really see the opportunity from this crisis, is to go on decentralization, and not just one municipality, like a committee of municipality, a union of municipalities all together to start solving their problems. Because we don't have any trust, and the ladies say it, no trust on this government right now. I'm not saying they are bad or not. It's not here I will say about it, but they are incapable to be responsible of this country. We saw it from years and years until now. We have the highest numbers. Our numbers is very, very high, but not a numbers as we had it before in the 70s. Lebanon was the European country in past years. We talk about the tourism. We had the first casino in the area. We had the first resorts in the area. We had the first people who write the human rights. It's a Lebanese people who write it. So all this, we put it on the side, and now we have this Lebanon, the failed country. So yes, municipality could be the way to change the system to decentralization.
Okay, thank you so much. That gives us actually a very good overview of what is currently going on with the different root causes. But I think you already, three of you gave already an indication of a bouquet of perhaps what needs to be addressed, and perhaps what could be solutions to overcome this. May it not be on a bigger stage, but maybe in smaller local level approaches. So I think before we dive a bit deeper into that, my questions, I would like also to open up the floor and receive questions perhaps from the audience, may it be here in presence or online. And I think we have 2 questions online already. I can see already there's questions here. It's up to you to choose here already. Exactly. We go, we have a microphone? Yes, sure. Let's go first. We do presence online. Thank you. If you could just briefly state for everyone also participating, just say your name and who you are so everyone knows.
Judge Muhammad Abu Zaid, senior judge in the Family Islamic Sunni Court in Saida region, southern Lebanon. Dr. Azzeddin started by raising issues related to the health situation in Lebanon and how it is being collapsed, and also raised issues related to the education in Lebanon and how it is also being collapsed. From my field of expertise, let me add something about families. We are witnessing in our family court more than double to triple the number of divorces. Then a country with no family, no education, no health. If we started counting since 2019, I'm very afraid to say in 2029 that we are losing a whole generation. Then we need to think about family.
Right.
Thank you so much. That's another layer of currently social issues contributing also to the spiraling of the crisis. Do you want to respond?
May I also highlight the brain drain that is going on as well. We have an issue with job creation. We, as Dr. Inaya was mentioning, the sectors that are employing are not at all interested. And the minimum wages, as you know, even though they raised them recently, I came from a sector, I'm an industrialist myself, so I know what the industry is suffering. There was no belief in it and everything. But there is also
an opportunity.
Yes, this is an option. But the issue is that we are facing difficulties with recruitment, with retaining the human capital of the country, and what is more serious is that our population, Sheikh, you have mentioned this. We have broken families. But we also have a very, very aging population. Now, the minimum age, the demographics of the country have changed. The minimum age is all the young people are going out of the country, and what stays in the country are either the elderly.
This will lead to another social problem.
Exactly.
Because we used to have to take care of the elderly within families. Now the kids are away.
Exactly. This is very true. And we have no home care, care and home cares for those elderly as well.
With no pension system, retirement, so it's a really social problem.
And with people having lost all their pension in the banks as well, and with no solution for the banking crisis in view.
Thank you.
Yes.
We're moving again into the issues, painting an even more bleak picture. But thank you for that. I think that's a very important perspective to move on to that. I think we had one more question from the audience here, and then we can perhaps go online.
Heiko, Women for International Crisis Group. I have a question for Mrs. Zreib. You mentioned in the very beginning a concern about security, right? Do the municipalities have a role to play there? Because we have, we all know Army, ISF, and others, how much their salaries are. We know, or we can imagine how much we can rely on these people to put their life on the line for security with that kind of salaries. Do the municipalities have a role to play? Do you already in your municipality look into alternative security solutions?
Actually, yes. In the municipality law, we have a police, and we have the system to secure our area, our geographical area. Okay. They took salaries, and our salaries right now is on Lebanese lira, and the Lebanese lira is nothing. So the police guy, if the municipality will pay the higher salary, is around $80 only, 80. The higher one, the lowest one is $30. So to bring the good guys to secure our cities, we need to pay a lot of money. Yes, by law, they have these responsibilities. That's why when we say, we hear it many times last time, amenzete, like personalized
Self-security.
And it's very dangerous to hear it, because we hear it many times, and I can understand who say it. But if the country say, we need to make it like this, we will go on the war on the 78. So it's very, very dangerous to start this. That's why if we need to help a municipality, it's to start the security themselves, not only the citizen, and to get the guns. People right now, they are trying to do this. In the building, if you have 10 floors, people are watching every 2 hours, one floor, they are on the balcony and watch their houses. It's very dangerous if we will give them the authority and the power with a gun. You know what I mean? It's very dangerous. That's why, yes, municipalities should do a role. They need to do this role, but I'm afraid about the Lebanese lira and the salaries. It's very delicate.
Well, you could have local businesses contributing to this.
I agree. Yeah. You know, I didn't mention, I kept this for the end to say that we need to have this participatory approach between the public, private, and this partnership between the public and the private sector. We need to have it. We have a law about it, but
I think it's already happening in a lot of villages and
but we can just put it
because the resources in many municipalities have been stretched very thin. So a lot of people are really giving funds and money to the municipality, not only for security, but also for social support.
Take it on a frame, like to do it as organizational things, not to leave it like this.
But that's very dangerous.
Yes.
We're accepting the absence of the state.
Yes.
And we're encouraging it.
But-
It's like charity, but it's so sorry.
But it is time to say that our state is not functional. We need to say it.
But
If ما بنعترف,
Our
we will not
state,
say it.
yeah, our state is not functional. Do we accept it or do we move forward and do our own little states in every region? This is the danger of
Yes.
it. What we're trying to do is to build a whole
Can we
state.
have third choice?
I don't know what is the third choice, but what I'm seeing is like we're adapting to everything, lack of food, low salaries, and we have some organizations that are helping and so on. And this is a way of accepting the absence of the state. And no one is doing the effort, or at least the people involved that should do the effort, which are the politicians. They don't see the urge of it. People are living for them. And that's a problem.
yeah, this is, I agree with you. And this is why when we go to decentralization, this does not
Yes.
mean that we shouldn't have a strong institutions. And I think the remedy, of course, I agree and approve, and I know the role that many, it has been there, the civil society role has been there for years and years, and it's not now new, but we don't want to create parallel or organisms. It has been there, we have tried it, it has failed, it did not bring good to the government. It was supposed many international organizations were within our institutions. It turned out to be a parallel institution instead of building capacity within the institution. So we don't want to create this parallelism again. They have to be, their role have to be complementary. They have to be there to help and to support the government. There should be a clear, well-governed, inclusive strategy to deal with these issues for every single aspect of the citizen's life to have a dignified life. And there should be the rule of law. But as you were mentioning in the beginning about the German, you know how many times in the German constitution, they don't say only the rule of law. They say the rule of law and justice.
Yes.
Because laws are not necessarily just, and justice is above laws. So we need to have this complementary tools. Of course, we should now work hard to re-establish the order in the institutions, have presidential elections, have a good government, and have clear policies, a clear central policy that is implemented in a decentralized way.
Yeah.
Or else we will fall into chaos and we will fall into
Self-governance, yes, you're right.
Thank you.
Citizen-driven. Well, it's good if it is citizen-driven, but it doesn't have to be self.
It has to be participatory, as she was mentioning.
Very
You know,
true.
that's a very important layer, even mentioning to that, also the complementary aspects and also the accountability attached to that, also addressing the human needs that are very dire at the moment. I would like to also give the chance for the audience online to pose a question, because I do think that they are lining up a few. I'm also conscious of time, so maybe let's take one or two before we move into the final section of this discussion.
Yeah.
I think, Maria, you have a microphone.
Yes. Thank you to everyone who's typing the questions online. We have Amin who's asking which steps should or could be done immediately as first steps to overcome the crisis that Lebanon is facing in a sustainable way.
Presidential elections and government.
Yes. Government.
A new government.
basically first steps to overcome. What should we do now as the next basis to move ahead?
Yes, well, there are many steps, but what we start with, definitely electing a president.
Have an effective government.
Yes, an effective government, but also political reform as well.
Of course.
Yeah, yes, and well, working towards the economic recovery. But first steps, things first, I agree with Dr. Ainaya. It is electing a president and having all the functioning.
We can do nothing. The government cannot meet now. The parliament cannot meet. Laws cannot be approved. So we need to re-establish order within the institutions and get them going.
Very true.
And then
I have a different point.
put strategies in a participatory way.
Yes, actually, if you will elect a president right now with the same people who vote for them, we will have the same government and they will gain more time and we will not solve this crisis. To solve this crisis, we need to start by our judges, to start accountability from all who did this crisis. Till now, everyone say we have the crisis, everyone. They did, I don't know, but no one say, let's find it and let's go to the judge and to the court. So we need to start by the accountability right now, and then we will think about our system, to change the system, and we will go to the president. Till now, they have the parliament. They have all the numbers. They can change the votes inside. It's really a corrupted institution we have. So I don't think electing a president will solve this crisis, because they are the same people who did the crisis. They cannot solve it.
May I comment here, please?
Just
No, I have to comment because we've had elections not long ago. And let me say that it's if I don't want to say, it's more than half the Lebanese population. These people have popular legitimacy. You want to change the people, or you change the people who represent them? Okay, let's admit they are there. And I'm against this generalization.
Yes.
This crisis has created a new class of corrupt people and nouveau riche, and everybody knows. On the civil service organization side and on the other side. So let's not generalize.
I agree.
And I think the elections have happened and they were observed by the European Union, by everybody, okay? Okay, let them say that this is what.
Yes,
okay,
but what has not taken
let us be a bit structured.
This is why I'm saying that we have a new class of corrupt people here and there.
Yes.
So not generalize. These people are there. When you generalize an accusation, you lose the opportunity of recognizing the clean people and put your hands together and go forward. You cannot change the people. Let's do it. These people exist. We are saying that we want to change. You know, when you talk from outside, it's very easy. Go inside the institutions and see how the people who claim that they want change, how they behave. Saying things from the outside, being populist in the outside, is not necessarily the truth inside the institutions. And here, this is a country, because of sectarianism and clientelism and all of these things, revolutions cannot destroy things from one night to another. Change has to be brought about gradually, slowly, in a sensitive way, because it's very easy. Look what's happening now with the Syrian crisis, Syrian refugee crisis. We're turning it into a racist crisis instead of dealing it in the right way and keeping the humanitarian aspect of it.
But this is not innocent, Dr. This is not innocent. So let's not touch on this, because there are many.
I'm saying that it's easy to deviate every reform step into something that is not innocent and will create problems. So let's help together and move forward. I know it's not easy, but it's not impossible.
Yes, but I want to touch on the judiciary. You're right. We need the judiciary, and we have to have checks and balances, and we have to have accountability and everything. The only thing is that I want to touch on one issue, is that unfortunately, our judiciary is not independent. Most of our judges are not independent. So we are turning in a vicious circle. Where do we start? I agree with Dr. Inaya that we have elected those people. And when I was talking, I said, we brought them back. We brought us back. Maybe I am part of it. Yes, I'm part of it. But we brought all these parties that you are accusing, or you are saying they should go away. Tell me. Some of them should. I was telling one of the others, of course, I was telling the other day, one of the new MPs, she comes, she attends my meetings, the committee meetings, and she always talks about, I said, this time, stop. Are you cleaner than me? Are you more qualified than me? Are you a more harder worker than me, hardworking than me? So let's stop generalizing. You know me, I have been in the ministry that maybe nobody heard about. We made a ministry. We came up with 2 strategies that unfortunately they did not approve in the right time. And this could have changed a lot of things. They have did it. They approved it under the pressure one in May 2020 and one now. And I'm one of those political groups that you are talking about. What we should say is not abolish the political groups, but make reform in the political groups and in the political party law. This will bring change, because a country without political groups, tell me, you come in a country, you have political parties, no?
Of course. But let us
and we want this. On the contrary, we want party life. Yes.
Okay, let me just quickly, because we're running a bit out of time, and I think we have to be a bit careful not to lose the audience as well online, because it's already getting very detailed, but I think reflects very well the public discourse at the moment and the debate from a different perspective. So I think this, for this, I'm very grateful to receive this picture also to such an extent. Dialogue is very much needed. That's such an
and thanks to Berghof. This has been initiated thanks to many international institutions where we are getting the support. We actually, Dr. Inaya, when I was trying to think, what do I want to ask of the international organizations or the international community? I was thinking that we always seek the help of others, and we are not communicating enough amongst ourselves. We have a lot dialogue. We have a lot to criticize you upon. And unfortunately, you have been ruling for some time. This is why I know Josephine did not mean you in person, but we, or your party, maybe she did, maybe she didn't, I don't know. The issue is that you were at the head of this government and of all the institutions. You were leading them, not you. No, you were, your party and your we're not judging now. I fully understand what you are saying. It's just that we are seeing an opportunity out of this chaos. I'm going to in the midst of chaos, there is always opportunity. So there is chaos, there's opportunity, there is the dialogue that is being initiated, that is being worked on. I'm not sure that it is only the junior people that have to dialogue. It's also probably the higher up that need to dialogue, and so for it to bring dialogue. Yes.
I mean, that's part of the challenge also, not to have structures and dialogue activities that are inclusive and that also is able to reach the heart to.
But I always say that if you bring angels to rule without systems, the angels will be corrupt, might be corrupt. So we need systems. There are no systems without our institutions. I was in the Ministry of Administrative Reform, and I know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
In every sector, we have some components of a system, but we don't have a system in any sector.
Yeah, but you have something, and we do not apply it. For example, the procurement law. the procurement law has been approved for some time and it's not being applied. So how can?
Look, let us not dive too much into detail here again,
Yes.
because I think we have some space also and some time.
Okay.
After the event, there will be a reception where we have coffee and some snacks, and I think we can dive a bit more into that.
Reception. That's why we thought that it was.
Very good. Let's take one more question from the online audience. I know that we have some piling up, so let's take one more question from the audience, and then perhaps one more question here from our audience presence, and then we're already hitting, I think, the very end of this event, unfortunately, time-wise. So Maria?
Yeah. First of all, sorry that we won't be able to answer everything. But one more question from George is, what common visions might be shared by all players, no matter how strongly they are opposed to each other? Are there any collective longings that might play a role, for instance, the longing to end suffering as a driving and connecting force across the whole society?
Interesting question.
Very interesting
Could I ask you perhaps to keep it brief in your responses, if that's possible?
Well, to start with, I would start by the very, very important issue of good governance, accountability. And I think if we do that, we will solve half of our problems. Of course, that would solve the corruption issue, all that.
This is why I was saying that despite of this sectarian confessional system, we can agree on good policies.
Yes.
Thank you.
With good governance.
Very true.
I repeat that I'm thankful that the international community are asking us from where we will start. So for sure, we will start by the dialogue. Yes, we need this dialogue. But before having this dialogue, we need to say that the country and the crisis is really in a danger before going on the table. Yes, I agree with Dr. Ainaya to have one table with all the actors inside. We need it. But because the international community are asking, we don't want them to, we want them to help, not the system. We need to build the system between us, not the international community. But the international community are playing a real role in Lebanon since years and years and years. And now we don't have president because we are waiting the international community to agree on someone. And after the blast, we had the biggest manifestation on the street on Saturday, 8th of August. Yes, it is a detail, but after that, we had visitors from the international community who changed all the system, and he gave them the credit. That's why the international community have a role to play in Lebanon, not to empower the same system. If they want to help us to change our system, they need to stop help them. We need to start from here.
Thank you. Absolutely agreed. And it will be interesting also to follow the next debates on how basically the different efforts of the international communities can be combined also to address not only the root causes, but the dire needs of the people, and do that a bit more comprehensively also, and design a framework for that accordingly. With that being said, I would like to have one more question from the audience here, and then perhaps brief responses from your side, and then we can close the event. If we have the microphone, yeah.
Please go ahead. I did my hair. Thank you. My name is Fadi Abi Alam, President of the Green Party in Lebanon. Thank you so much for Berghof for having all the Lebanese problems in this hall by today. And let me say that moving from war to peace never happened without dialogue. And now we are living in the last generation of wars. And for me to say, well, it is here from a security approach. when we are looking for the health security in Lebanon and food security in Lebanon, in addition to economic, social, environment, personal, and political, which one is going in a wrong way, let's say, nothing. There is no other that we should have it in the sectors. So I think we are waiting not to have this invasion of bad peace, but we need a certain mechanism. And this mechanism, it can be national, it can be regional, and it can be international. And for the situation, I think we have to talk about this all together, because is the rules for conciliation, not mediation, and even dialogue. We need somebody to put the people on the table and exert on them to accept this or not this. So I think let's have it at least for one time in my life. This one, it's a big challenge. We should apply.
We should each other, not lie to each other, because we lie to each other a lot.
Yes, it is like this. It will work. And thank you so much for Berghof having such an initiative. And this initiative by itself, it is a stone in the peace building in Lebanon. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. We have perhaps time for very short last remarks also from your side. You want to end the discussion.
No, I was just going to say that all of the above, as Dr. Inaya said, but maybe we would like to urge the international community to exert a bit more pressure on our politicians to execute reforms, political reforms. It is of essence. Sustainability is one of them. Environmental sustainability is one of them, of course. But there is also the issue of financing, that we would like to go to the right places and to have accountability on and checks and balances at the end of the day, because let us face it, we also need financial support. And finally, I would like to say thank you to Berghof, but also to many other organizations, for example, the UN and the UN Women in particular. They have been, we are all part of a few tracks that they have formed for dialogue as well. So dialogue is of essence. And
yes, of
thank
course.
you.
Thank you.
Of course, dialogue is of an essence. It's very important. It's very important that dialogue is truthful and is really done in order, in the mentality mindset that we want to reach a common ground and we want to solve sustainably our problems. It's very important to rebuild our institutions. No one can replace the state. State institutions should be rebuilt in a restructured, in a well-governed way, with a good system, with governance, with participatory policy approach that are human-based, human right-based. Of course, we do not deny the role of the private sector, of civil society, of international community, of the academics, of everybody who can bring in an added value to a sound policy is needed, but no one can replace the state. And we are all hopeful that maybe our kids and their kids can live in a prosperous country. Unfortunately, we have been deprived this luxury, or this right, not luxury, but we are still hopeful. In every crisis, I think there is an opportunity for a better tomorrow. Yes.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you for this positive hope. We will have it. Yes, I agree on it. And we will change. Yes, we have the crisis, but we will change this crisis into a good things. We don't know when and with who, but for sure we will make it. And with the participatory approach with everyone. And yes, the partnership between the national and the international, as you said, yes, we need to start. We don't say forgotten crisis. Let's work on this crisis. It's time to work on it. It's time to build our strategy, at least to put one goal together to arrive on it. Let's start at least the first step. And thank you again for Berghof for this opportunity and for all the people online and the people who came here. to listen for a forgotten crisis and to go on the street to see the crisis. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I also want to thank you, three of you. You've made my job a lot easier today, being so structured and following the leads intuitively as well, without me asking and interrupting so much. So thank you so much. I appreciate that a lot. I think we got a very interesting and also diverse picture of what is currently going on in Lebanon. And I think we ended on a positive note. That is hope, and that is looking into the future, providing us with some leads and some next steps that are taken, and some good ideas that I think we as Berghof will also follow up on. So thank you so much for your expertise, for your insight. I want to also express my thanks to the audience for the questions, for participating as well here and online. I think this is definitely something we will follow up on as well. I know that in today's limited time, we only had a chance to dive into so many and few issues. Luckily here, the event continues. So you have the chance to grab some of the panelists or speakers to discuss them, discuss with them a bit more in detail. Exactly, before they run for the next event. I also want to thank the Berghof Beirut team here for organizing all of this on such a short notice as well. It's very much appreciated. And with that, thank you so much, and see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.